All right. So today, we're going to talk about, since we're just starting this podcast, and we're kind of new to this, if you can't tell already, we're going to talk about starting things, and our thing is obviously health, wellness, fitness, and nutrition, all that sort of stuff. So we're going to talk about how we got started in fitness, and maybe if that can help you get started in your fitness journey or continue in your fitness journey. So let's just hear from Demetrius about how he started, working out, training, using weights in general.
For myself, I'm trying to think in my head, like when I first really got into working out, or then like just kind of when I was messing around with it, like kind of like I don't know what I'm doing type of thing, which I feel like a lot of people I think start at first. It's like you want to do some type of exercise, it could be good for you, but you don't know exactly what you're doing, and you may have seen something like it was me. I was reading stuff in the magazines, so. Back in the times with the magazine I was reading, the publication I was reading, it was like from stuff that my stepfather was picking up. So it was like these bodybuilding mags.
Okay, so you didn't hit anything from like a sports side of things. You were hitting it all from just like.
For me, it was more of a. Honestly, at the time I was younger, so it was like a personal aesthetic, how I was feeling about my body and stuff like that. And so reading these and then seeing these magazines, which has these buff dudes in there and stuff. I'm like, oh wow, like this is what you got to do to get to that level or whatnot. To change your body, you have to lift some weights.
Right.
So that's kind of what first got me into it. I was playing sports and stuff like that, but for me, that's not what led me into it. Actually, it was more so that, and then I dabbled with that like a little bit again. I was just kind of like at home using my stepdad's weights and stuff like that, playing around with those. But it wasn't until my sophomore year of high school where that following year they offered a weight training class. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I remember just doing that, trying to do that myself. So let me sign up for this class. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, there's more to this. You start talking about, obviously, the body and all the muscles and all the systems and how that works. But then also we started to use actual weights and in a gym setting. So I found that to be, it felt empowering to do that stuff. Like, get stronger, learn about those things too. And it just felt better. So, that's kind of what led me into it. But definitely, before I even got into it, I feel like in that setting at school, it made it a little bit easier since it was happening at school. But I was still nervous. You're still around other people and stuff like that. Kind of taking it partly seriously, not seriously, because you're young, mature type of thing there. So, so there's still obstacles, I think, even before that. Even though I started so kind of younger or earlier, there were still obstacles when I did transition into like a gym after that and stuff.
I got you. So what, like at the beginning when you were just starting, you had all this motivation, you were trying to change your body and you had all this intrinsic motivation. Did you ever have days like you didn't want to work out? Did you like working out? Was it something that you really enjoyed, or was it something that you just thought you had to kind of bite the bullet on and just do it anyway?
Yeah. Personally, I was lucky there because it was something I did enjoy. Like it was one of those things where I was like, because I wasn't the best athlete, I wasn't really athletic, but I felt like with lifting weights, you didn't have to be an athlete to do that stuff to get better at the things. It was like a skill that you could build upon and learn as you're doing it. So you didn't have to come into weight training or exercising as an athlete, which a lot of people think like, oh, you had to do sports before, or people look at me now like, oh, you're athletic. They'll say, oh, you could do like a 5K, a 10K easy. But I'm like, those are different types of things there. Like outside of actually lifting weights, when it comes to like athletics and stuff, there is strength, skill, and stuff that goes with that, obviously. But there's also like talent and things of that nature too that you got to build up. With weight training, you just lift. You kind of go over to the weights and you start to obviously learn how to lift a weight better and using better form and stuff like that, and you can see yourself get better at it and progress over time.
It is it's one of the most achievable things for general population people. It's beneficial for the lowest level person and it's beneficial for the highest level athlete. It is just so scalable for all populations. That's a really good point. Yeah. I came at it from more of an athletic standpoint. I didn't lift. I guess my first time lifting weights, I tried to go to this church weight room they had near my house, and I didn't know what I was doing. I tried a couple things. I did like some bench press, I think. I don't think I touched legs at all. I might have done some bicep curls. That's basically what I was going off of. I was thinking, okay, what are the muscles I want I want to work out, or where do I want to see development? And I just tried to do a few things to do those muscles and had no kind of concept of feeling, weights, technique, nothing. I didn't know anything.
Sure.
And I was an athlete, and I was very fit. I was playing a lot of soccer, and could run all day, but I don't think I was very strong. And I honestly didn't know what I was doing in the weight room. Fast forward about a year or two, and I'm in college, and we have our first weight training coach, and we start lifting weights. And the first thing I notice is that we do the whole body, every workout. It wasn't super intensive weight training at that point. We had just a very generic full body workout every day, and so I learned a little bit of technique, but I wouldn't say that I got really into working out at that point because I wasn't feeling so much of a difference from it. The first time that I remember really feeling a workout and really seeing progress from working out consistently was when we had our strength coach. I think it was our junior year in college for soccer, and he was a CrossFit coach, and he basically gave us the WOD every day, which is the workout of the day. Basically it's a circuit style training.
Yeah. And
I remember that season going from I was very weak compared to the whole team, and I remember just getting so much stronger and so much fitter. And that was really my first experience with weight training, and that's a very extreme example because it takes weight training to a very athletic place, of a place where you're very comfortable like pushing and feeling like you're competing. And since then I've scaled it back to more of feeling like I'm just not so much of an athlete with it anymore. I'm more just training for longevity and general progress. But that was my first experience, and it was definitely interesting, eye-opening to see that progress.
For sure. I mean, even you bringing that up, that's a conversation in itself, like how to going from that state where mindset it is for like getting better at a sport, and then transitioning to it being something that you just do because it's good for you. It's good for your body and good for health. Because I think a lot of people would kind of relate with that, especially if they were doing something all their life and then they stopped doing it because of a job, they got really sedentary or something like that, and now getting back into it is harder because they're feeling like they're not training for the sport that they used to play back in high school or college.
Right.
They're just trying to feel better, lose weight, get in shape, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But that would be a good topic.
That's true. Yeah, we should probably put a pin in that one. I feel like I'm going
put a pin in that one. We'll put a pin in that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so kind of going from what we're trying to do here is help others with their beginning stages. Like, us, you had the athletic background. I saw it around my house. Again, my stepfather was doing it, so it was there. Weights were there. I was fortunate enough to have that class in school, and then I took advantage of that and kind of got into it there. What would be your tip for someone who's trying to get started or restart? They could have similar stories to ours where they did kind of do some training or knew of it, or they don't have any at all. Like, what was your first tip for somebody who wants to get started in this?
It's a really good question, and it's so depends on each individual. I'd say overwhelmingly what I see is people that want to start again, because I think at this point most people had some sort of experience with fitness in some way or another, whether it's a group exercise class or just going to the gym at some point. Probably the number one mistake I see is people go back to the gym and do everything. They try to do everything that they used to do. They try to do all of the things. They try to get everything in. They work really, really hard. They're motivated, which is great, but then they can't get back. They maybe don't come back to the gym for 5 or 6 days, or they feel discouraged because they expected to see a change in maybe 1 day or maybe 2 days. And I think that's the biggest mistake is starting, like, biting off too much, like more than you can chew. So you go in and you try to do a lot, but you're not quite at that capacity yet.
Yeah.
So instead of thinking so much about 1 day, I would say for a lot of people to try to think about a larger scale of things, which is just a common problem with people in general, is not opening up the lens a lot to see a longer time frame, but see it out 3 months or something like that, and say, like, what can I do to try to be consistent over 3 months of time, and see and give yourself enough time to kind of reap the rewards of the habit that you're building. That's probably the number one thing I would say.
Cool.
And outside of that, I think that you and I have both been lucky to see some sort of coaching happen at some point in the early phases of our training, to give us direction, to give us just understanding in general. And I think that if you can get a coach, I think it'd be a great thing to do. If you can't, you need to find a way to teach yourself these things, because technique matters, feeling matters, reps matter. Like, all that stuff is really, really important. And if you have no sort of way to learn it, and like if you can't hire somebody to help you with it, then you have to try to teach it to yourself. So I think those would be the two things.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. What about you?
I probably took a few things from that there, actually. There.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, you started with like biting off more than you can chew, type of thing. Consistency, making sure you're showing up, getting looking at the bigger lens of things there, which those can go together, but also I think they have their own places too. Even those who are looking way out and how they're figuring out what consistent is like because I think kind of trying to figure out what's that difference between perfection and consistency. People think of being consistent is hitting, if they say 3 days a week and they hit all 3 days a week for that time, but what if they miss that one day and it's like, I'm not consistent anymore,
right?
So it falls off track. So that, and then even like the point of you making with the coach and technique and making sure things are right and feeling good and stuff like that, and doing things the right way so they don't injure themselves, so it is easier for them to return back to the gym and keep going with their progress there. So in that, like that first piece there, with it being biting off more than you can chew, what can exactly, so what, like if someone asks you like, so how many days then like should I do? How many days a week should I do? What should I aim for? Type of deal. If I don't go in just one day and try to do everything, what should I do then? Oh man,
that's a good question. Just for basics, for people starting to get back into a routine or just starting like a fitness routine in general, I would say try to do one movement per body part for just 2 to 3 sets for a workout, and come back in 2 days. So if it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're doing one movement for your lower body, maybe quad focus, one movement for your hip focus, one push and pull, and then maybe like a shoulder movement or maybe some accessory movements. So, smaller muscles like biceps, triceps, core, and then come back and do it again on Wednesday. Maybe mix up the movements a little bit, but I would say just start there and then give yourself the chance to see some progress. You don't want to go so hard that you can't come back.
For sure.
Yeah, number one thing.
Yeah. No, I think that's kind of perfect. I would say probably the same way. Focusing on each muscle, like a certain muscle group within the full workout there. I know a lot of people, they get caught in like the old mindset, that like the traditional bodybuilding type thing, where it's like you just hit arms one day, legs another day, type of style, which again can get you on and get you going, but you probably won't see the changes you really want to see even over a longer period of time, because it is such far out that you're working certain muscle groups, and our bodies generally don't respond the best to that. But it could be a point there for consistency if it keeps you coming in more, and keeps you showing up. But I like your way, because you're going to make sure that you're hitting each muscle group there. You're going to give yourself time to recover, which is super important. That's why there are those days in between. It's not just because we're just trying to give you a rest to give you a rest. It's actually for your body to recover from the work that you did on that day of exercise. So when you come back, and if you are following the similar routine to what you just did, that you're not, you don't get over fatigued, overwork yourself, and then you feel like you can't go because you're too sore to make it or whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. That reminded me of a funny story. I remember the first time going to just do kind of like a bro session with like some of my friends in college, where all we wanted to do was just like some upper body, kind of like the beach muscles, like biceps, triceps, chest, back stuff. And I remember going and working out, and then like we did a lot that day, and we came back, and I get in the shower, and I'm like looking at my muscle, I'm like, oh, I'm huge now. It's big. And then that was literally my thinking at the time. It's like, oh, this can happen in a day, or this can happen in a couple workouts. It's laughable right now, right? Yeah. At this point of our lives, we understand that that's a hilarious idea. But like for me at that time, that was very real, saying, I've done it. I've gotten bigger. Like I put on some muscle. And then, imagine my disappointment the next day when that's gone. And you're like, oh man, I'm back to where I was.
Yeah.
But, that's again kind of referencing that frame of reference of people understanding that what you're trying to do is going to take longer. We usually throw around the number 3 times as long. Like, it's going to take 3 times as long as you think it is. Even if you have a fairly realistic expectation of what's going to happen or how your body's going to change, and maybe you know that, or maybe you've seen it happen to you before, but understanding that if you're doing it the right way, things are going to take much longer than you expect, and just kind of changing your frame of reference to not expect it immediately.
Correct.
1 month, 1 workout, 1 month, 2 months at a time, months, years, kind of lifetime kind of thing,
Correct.
lifestyle thing. But yeah. I just thought it was funny to think back to that. You triggered that when you said something about like the first workout or something like that.
No, that's good that you brought that up though, because patience is huge. Patience, I think, would be almost my first tip. Even like just getting it, like whatever it is you do, even if it's like you're signed up for one of the big box gyms, like Golds or Crunch or something like that, and you're going to some group fitness classes, and that's what you're doing to start off. Great, making sure that again you're giving yourself time to rest in between there. You're not overworking yourself, but also that you're being patient with what's to come. Like, it's gonna come as long as you just keep showing up, you keep doing what that you should be doing, and being patient along that way there. I think it's huge. And you bringing up the whole time, like month, year, stuff like that. I've been kind of playing around with the concept in my head, like even looking back at my fitness journey and stuff like that. And it's almost like I want to tell people, like, it's gonna take at least 5 years. It's a scary number to say, and it's like, what the heck, 5 years? What do you mean 5 years?
Yeah, you scare me when you say that.
Yeah, you're like, what, 5 years?
Right.
And it's not 5 years to get to your goal. You could get to your weight loss goal or body composition goal within some months for some people, some like a year or whatnot.
Right.
But to actually learn and develop the skill to maintain that or retain that for, again, over a lifetime, like you were saying, it's going to take, I think, about that period of time there. Because even in a year, you could be on it for a year and fall off track for a week or a month, and then it just steamrolls into another year that you missed. Or you're on for 2. So I feel like once you really get some time under your belt of consistent, in that 5 year period, consistency could be you missed a month, you missed a week here. So you had these gaps that were going to come up because life happens, and that's normal. But if you still have made this a part of like your lifestyle over that, I think, that time period, you're going to be more apt to continuing to do it for the rest of your life. I think.
Right. Yeah. Setting that goal way out in front.
For sure.
Absolutely. All right. So we hit some good points there. Let's kind of just briefly chat about obstacles that might inhibit somebody from starting. Just, the first day. What's going to block them? Maybe the first day, first week kind of thing. Maybe you've experienced it, or maybe you've seen it with clients that you met with here, or you've worked with in the past, or just remember from day one. Like, what's one of the main things that stops people from starting?
I have to say, being nervous. Being nervous about it, not know, kind of like we're trying to answer that question of like what to expect, but you kind of don't know.
Yeah.
What to expect. So I think that nervousness that you built up, even like for our clients, the first day that I come in, even though if I walk them through the console, what that first day is going to look like, they're still pretty timid because they're like,
you don't know how you're going to perform. You don't know what you're going to be asked to do. You don't know if it's going to feel uncomfortable.
Correct.
All these things, just the whole idea of being uncomfortable is uncomfortable. It's tough for people to like accept that.
For sure. And then and with that point there, we all feel it. Like, we know that feeling. I was definitely nervous, again, even doing it just in school, because I'm like, I have other classmates around me. They're going to see what I'm doing, or if I look weak, or whatever it may be. And we get in our heads about this, but they're probably thinking the same thing. And so knowing that, it's like you're not alone there. Everybody's probably feeling that way, even if they have been doing it for a while. It's something, you're in a new environment or a new space. But whether you're doing it at a studio like ours here, where it's a more personal approach, or you're doing it in a larger space, a lot of people are going to share that common fear with you. Like, I'm a little nervous today of what this is going to feel like, or what this is going to look like, or how this is starting for me.
Right.
But
yeah. Nerves is huge. I would say, maybe even it's tied into nerves, but people, and this is more in reference to a bigger gym where you're going in just for your own workout without maybe meeting with a trainer or anything, but it's people don't want to look like they don't know what they're doing. They don't want to look stupid, and it's sad, but it's kind of true that some people in big gyms are looking and judging, and it's your job not to worry about those people, because they got their own problems if they're judging you on your workout.
Definitely.
But it's a real thing to not want to look silly and look stupid, and that's a hard thing to get over too.
That's super hard, and there's no like trick to it to get over it. It's just something you personally have to tell yourself, like, hey, we all started somewhere. I'm starting, and you got to remember why you're starting it and why you're doing it, and make that reason why stronger than someone else's opinion of you. We all judge. We're all doing it, even if we're doing it for better purposes. Like, oh, I like what that person's doing over there, and you're looking and you're watching, like, oh, I need to try that movement, or someone's looking like, oh man, that person's doing something wrong. Like, everybody has that in their head. Everybody's kind of going through these things in their mind, and especially even as you start to learn some things, you might start to find yourself doing that too. If you get better at a squat or something like that, you might find yourself in the gym, someone else is squatting, and you're like, wow, they should be doing, maybe this a little bit more, so they're not feeling it here, whatever it is. It might cross your mind, but then also you can remind yourself, like, oh wow, like I was there one day. I was there at one point. We've all been there. So I guess to get, the best way to get over that nervousness or not feeling like you look dumb or stupid or anything like that is just to know that we all start from somewhere. You're going to get better at it. Anything that you probably started for the first time, you probably looked not the best doing it.
That's the number one thing. Yeah. That's it right there. If you think back to when you were a kid, you didn't, like when you picked up, like, let's just use soccer for an example. When I picked up a soccer ball, I didn't think about looking stupid. I just want to do this. Like, I just want to kick it. I want to play with it. I want to like play with these friends on this field and learn how to do it. And I had this growth mindset. I was going to just get better at it. And if I was worried about what my friends were saying, like, oh man, that guy can't kick right. He can't pass right. Whatever, I wouldn't maybe have gone after it, and I wouldn't have done the things that I did with my soccer career. But having that mindset, and it's harder to have as an adult, of being open to learning everything and admitting that you don't know everything, is a hard thing to do, especially as an adult when you get older. But adapting that growth mentality, the growth mindset of like, I'm here to learn, I'm here to improve, and it's not going to be perfect at first, but I'm doing the work to get there, to like improve myself there.
Heck yeah. No, I mean, and I think one that everybody can almost relate is like riding a bike. Come on. That's how you jump on a bike. I know for me, I wasn't just on a bike and like on the way, at least without training wheels or whatnot. Like I had a friend of mine, a neighbor, and she would help me. Like she would come out and hold the bike up for me and stuff like that, and I would get on and I would wobble here and there. But again, I didn't stop because I was like, I want to ride bikes with everybody. Everybody else in the neighborhood's riding bikes, so I want to get out there and ride a bike with everybody too.
Right.
So it's just that deeper why, and I think if somebody can remember that reason, like why they're in the gym, truly to make a change for themselves, feel better, have this huge impact, then it'll kind of negate some of those feelings.
Absolutely. All right. What else do we want to talk about today?
Well, we kind of hit on some good points there, like getting started, some obstacles there. I mean, and I think. I guess we can also talk about just the feeling, again, since we're talking about being in the gym, the obstacles in the gym. We talked about, again, nervousness and stuff like that. I mean, so what should the first workout feel like? You told them like, hey, go this many days, go one day, work each body part here or each muscle group, and then move, wait 48 hours or 2 days and come back in. What should they be feeling then? If it shouldn't be like super sore and they can't come in, what is it that they're looking for?
That's a good point. Yeah, and this is going to vary, I think, from person to person and even from coach to coach, what you're looking for that first day. But for me, I'm looking for someone to kind of master some movement and have a lot of success with those movements and be able to return. So first day, you're looking to try to do the movement correctly that you're trying to do. Use a weight that's very manageable, but possibly challenging. As you get better and as you get stronger and you build some endurance, more stability, you're going to want those weights to get more and more challenging, and you want to push yourself. But I think the first day back is not the right day for that. That's more of a day that we want to build some momentum and give some confidence to the rest of the week, of the month, whatever that phase looks like for you. But I don't think that people have this healthy idea of chasing like soreness, chasing fatigue, chasing sweat. Those are great if you're just working out, but if you're actually trying to improve the way your body performs, the way your body looks, you're going to probably want to focus on things that are actually measurable progress, and that's more going to come in the form of weight or reps or technique or just movement in general. So I would say those first few days, especially, something manageable that you can come back and do the next day. And if you're sore, it's okay.
I didn't sweat, man. I didn't sweat.
You didn't sweat, huh?
I didn't work hard enough, right?
You're gonna be all right.
Yeah, I think you hit some good points there. Looking more so at the stuff that you can change there. I mean, like, yes, you can sweat more, but you can sweat more sitting down with the heat on in your house.
True.
So, turn it into a sauna there. But people chasing like the soreness, the sweat thing, they're looking for the wrong indicators, I think, when it comes to actually improving your body, improving your performance, improving your health, your livelihood overall.
Right.
And not just because you're going to get burnt out. If that's what you're chasing, you're either going to hurt yourself, you're going to get burnt out. I think that's even where boredom comes from, because it's like, boredom. Boredom. Like you're just, how much more? Like, you're going to just keep trying to sweat it out and do this and that, and you're going to be jumping from one thing to another thing to this thing, trying to find the next thing that's going to make you sore again or sweat again.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's going to leave you in this revolving wheel where you feel like you're not going to make any changes, and you probably really aren't, because you're switching so much. You're not staying consistent to what could possibly make the change there.
Results are motivating in themselves, and to get results, you have to first take action, and you have to measure some sort of progress.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, I think that was.
Yeah, I feel like we can go over measuring progress and metrics in a whole podcast, maybe even like a series.
Sure.
But
yeah, I think I mean, there's a couple things I think we already touched on that can go much deeper, and I look forward to talking about that. I guess I think we can even start wrapping it up from here, because I mean, we gave some good points on what you should be doing when you go in, some obstacles and how to overcome those, what it should feel like for your first few times there. I guess, is there anything that's in your mind that you want to kind of leave off with, or anything that could?
Just a word of inspiration that, if you're deciding that you want to do this and that this is something that's going to better your life, then start today. Don't wait, and don't worry, there's going to be little bumps along the way, but if you stick with it and you just stay consistent and keep trying to learn, you're going to do well with this. You're going to do great. Like you said at the beginning, learning that this was for everyone. It wasn't just for athletes, it's for everyone. It means anybody can do this, and anybody can make the progress that we're seeing here, as long as you just keep coming back and keep trying.
For sure. Like, you can't fail at exercise. It's just crazy. You can't fail at fitness.
That's true.
You can't. There's no way possible unless you don't do it.
That's the one way. That's the one way.
So like you said, there's getting started, showing up every day. I mean, the days that you say you're going to show up for yourself, and if you don't hold it against yourself. Just get back into it and keep going. Just don't stop. I guess is the big thing there.
Absolutely. All right, I guess we'll wrap it up there. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys got something good out of this one, and we'll be putting out another one next week.
For sure. Yeah, please leave any comments, reviews. Let us know how sporadic this actually sounded. Yeah. I'm sure we're gonna listen back and be like, oh gosh, that was weird.
Yeah, back to the first day thing. There's definitely gonna be some bumps along the way. I mean, we meant to do this last week, but we won't talk about that.
Exactly. Yeah. See. Yeah. We have our own bumps and stuff like that in the road. But yes, we're gonna be posting this everywhere, wherever you can leave a review and 5 stars, because we're amazing, and even though it was our first one, it still was amazing. Please do that. Make sure too that you share this with some friends and family if you know anybody that is trying to get started. I think this is an awesome way for them to get started. We're going to be doing this every week, right? Yeah, so every week we're going to be bringing you more information, more knowledge, so we're here to help you along the way. So again, give us some feedback, throw us some questions that you have, and we'll be sure to answer them in the future podcasts.